Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Shilpa Data Insights.
I got Air India, I got Innovation, I got KPMG. I literally found it difficult to make a switch because I had just a generic resume that time. Within that journey, I got call from NAB and Deloitte as well. I cracked Deloitte and got the offer. Like interviews has become trickier, tougher. They are going in depth. When I did my first switch, I didn't stop learning. So you must look just not for compensation, but project also should be in my mind.
Hi, Spriya. Welcome to my channel of Shilpa Data Insights. And thank you so much, first of all, for joining to today's podcast. And I'm really happy that you joined a new company as well, and with a lot of hard work and smart work, everything, right? So it's all a lot of struggle that you do in order to join a company. So I just want to know from your end what exactly, how you prepared and what all companies you applied for, how was the interview preparation, along with it, the rounds that were there. And again, in the last, I will cover up some general questions apart from it. So I'll just divide this into three sections. First is, how was your interview preparation strategy? And what was your feedback to people who are actually preparing for interviews? And third is the general tips and tricks, let's say, for preparing the interviews. So let's get started. Let's first introduce Spriya in this particular channel, and I really congratulate you first. So before we start, I just want to know about yourself, exactly how many years of experience you have, and how exactly you landed up this particular job.
Sure, Shilpa. Thank you for the opportunity to join this podcast. And yeah, really, I would like to say, like, I gone through your channel, and you are really doing great, sharing great stuff. So that's something great you are doing for data engineering community. Talking about myself, so my name is Spriya Agrawal, and I have total 4 years of experience in data engineering field. I have completed my Bachelor's of Technology in ECE, that is Electronics and Communication Engineering, from Banastali Vidyapeeth in 2021. So, talking about my journey, so I started from there, I got campus placement to Accenture. That is just 4.5 LPA, we all know. So, yeah, there I joined, and luckily I got assigned to data engineering bootcamp and then data engineering project. So from there, my journey started in Azure data engineering field. When I got my project, I really liked it. Like there were lots of learning, lots of challenges, but yeah, worth it, I would say. So yeah, I was there in Accenture for nearly 2 years and 9 months. From there, I made a switch to KPMG and stayed there for around 1 year and 5 months. And yeah, recently, last week, I have joined Public Sapient as a senior associate big data engineer. So that's a brief intro about my journey in data engineering field.
That's actually great. That's really good that you got a campus placement straight away to a data engineering field, and that's to be a very good company like Accenture.
Yeah.
So you got a very good exposure. Like, what kind of tech stack you worked on Accenture in the first project?
Yeah, sure. So the first project that I got assigned, actually, it was just my single project in Accenture. People get multiple project, but for me, it was just a big project that was there. So I got lots of hands-on on Azure Data Factory, Databricks, and along with that, some Cosmos DB function apps. So many tools I have explored of Azure there. However, in the starting days, it was a bit tricky, bit difficult to understand all those things. But yeah, with good colleagues, good mentors, I was able to learn all those technologies. So yeah, that was a great journey. And Databricks was something new, new in the project that got introduced. So I got some hands-on in my after 1.5 year. I got introduced to Databricks, and that time there was lots of hype in the market about Databricks. Along with that, PySpark. So yeah, where I got an edge and got opportunity again to make a switch and start looking for more opportunities. So where
So if you talk about the interview process that you went, Accenture, not let's not talk about that because you got a placement. When you switched to KPMG, you gave interview, and then when you again switched to the third company, you gave interview. What kind of difference you figured out in the interview process? Was it difficult, or it something shifted from one technology to another in the interview process?
Yeah, sure. So, like when I made this switch last year, that was 2024 itself, starting 2024. So, that time I had just 2.5 years of experience, and I literally found it difficult to make a switch because I had just a generic resume that time. With that, I started no quantification, no impact oriented resume. So with some friends helped me to get it figured out, and I got a good resume in the end. I Although I was afraid how I'm going to give my interviews. My few interviews were really, I could say, it was just a mock interview, I could say. I remember I had an interview with Impetus. That was my first interview. Got scheduled after lots of struggle because 90 days is literally tricky to get an interview call. They said like you need to join in 45 days. I knew I can't, but I said yes because I wanted an interview schedule. So I did it, and yeah, like call was scheduled for 1 hour, but that interviewer said you really need to prepare, and it just got disconnected within 30 minutes. I got disheartened, like I really did bad in that interview, but I got some questions from there. I started. That was basically around Spark. I knew Databricks, but not Spark architecture. I was not looking for the theoretical concepts that time. So I shifted my preparation strategy, just looking for SQL, just looking for Databricks concept. I started Spark as well, PySpark as well. I studied a lot after my office hours. I used to study for 2 3 hours per day, and I worked on my concepts. And from there, like I learned. Then again, I got some interview call there. They said you just need to join in 30 days. Some said you just need to join in 60 days. I knew nothing is possible, but I kept giving interviews. Then there was a company named as WNS. I cleared all the rounds. However, they said you need to join in 30 days, and I know Accenture's notice period is 90 days, so we are not going to give you offer. So I felt now this notice, now I am prepared, but this notice period is not going to help me. So then I started looking for companies who can give me 90 days wait time. So I started applying for some service based companies like I started Capgemini, then Cognizant, Infosys. I applied to those companies, and I got offer from Cognizant, and they were okay for all the 90 days. Now I started like looking for multiple opportunities, going for every interview call that I was getting. I got Air India, I got Innovation, I got KPMG. Adidas was also there, but that role got closed something. So that way, like I was saying yes to everything whatever coming my way that time, and in the end I finalized KPMG, looking for the growth and the big four brand. So I went for KPMG. However, when I was in KPMG, I felt like I still need to work on my skills, and I can do bigger thing, I can get better things. So, however, in KPMG, I got opportunity to work on Microsoft Fabric. That is still new in the market, and I have worked on development to production from scratch to creating MVP. So that was a really great experience. When I was working on that development, I didn't get much time to learn to again brush up my skills. So I just focused there. I worked on PySpark. I worked on optimization. Real time work was happening there, and like in the last which I learned lots of concepts, so I can see them getting used in my project also. That was a good learning. By May, I like we have deployed that project to production and had some spare time. So I again thought to start my journey of another switch, and again make my resume like result oriented. Now I had an idea like how my resume should be, how it should be 80s friendly. So those things didn't took much time for me, and I prepared my resume, updated my Notary, and I started applying. So first call I got from Optum, and I was able to crack it. However, they have good authentication process, and like, data verification takes lots of time. So within that journey, I got call from NAB and Deloitte as well. I cracked Deloitte and got the offer. So, but the compensation wise, it was not that great. But I accepted it and not gone for resignation because I was waiting for Optum. And in few days, I got Optum with good great compensation, and then I gone to my journey of notice period. Started my notice in period in KPMG, and along with that I kept looking for opportunities, applying for good companies. Yeah, this time I was not going with everything coming my way. I was being selective. I was just going with those companies where either I can get good package or good compensation or good company. Product based company was my target, so that was something I was looking for. In the journey I got NAB, but I knew I'm not going with that, so I have not accepted the offer. I just said thank you and proceeded ahead because I knew where I want to go. So that was something with me. And again there came Circle K, then EXL services, and in the end it was Public 18, where now I have currently joined. So this was the journey of my switch. And talking about the tech stack and interview experience, so this time I felt like interview has shifted just going with some concepts to the depth of the work you have already done. And this time I got good exposure while optimization PySpark concept in KPMG. So those really helped me, and I would say just theoretical knowledge is not going to help much this time, because like interviews has become trickier, tougher. They are going in depth. They are digging in depth. So yeah, I would say you need some hands-on. Really need some hands-on to crack good companies and good compensation.
That's so much of true. So you have covered a lot here, and it's really amazing that you have covered everything in detail, your journey, which is really helpful. So if I talk about the first point that you said, it was very difficult if you have 90 days notice period, right? And you actually try to apply for jobs. They said, no, we need it for 30 days. We need an immediate joiner. This was 5 years back, and this is the same situation right
Yes.
now as well. So you said yes to everything and like the interview calls to be come in. But if in case some company says that, let's say I just need 15 days, then how do you like tackle that? And let's say you want to join that company. For example, you want to join Sapien and they say no, we need immediate joiner right now. So how do you tackle that? Any tip or trick that you applied while uh, handling that HR call?
So for me, when they say 50, like nowadays, most of the HR knows if you are working in a good company. Most of the HR know what is the notice period. I tried the same with when I was in Accenture. I tried the same with WNS. I said I can join in 30 days, but they were aware like Accenture's notice period is 90 days, and they don't do some buyout option, or these things are, don't work in Accenture generally. So I feel when you have this kind of mindset, like instead of applying directly to 15 days, because that can be tricky. I have seen people who have said yes, I can join in 15 days, but after 15 days their offer got revoked and they were not able to join. So this is not something good, because it creates lots of stress also. So I feel you should look for those companies who can give you this time, and you can keep your job search journey continue. So this is something I followed while I was switching from Accenture and from KPMG as well. Like Optum also said you need to join. Like first offer that I got, they said you need to join by 15th July. That is just 45 days. But I clearly said to them, "Ki my notice period is 2 months. I need time. However, there is buyout option. I can work, but formally I need it 2 months. In case something happens, I will talk to my manager. In case they agree, I'll continue. I will join." So this is something I did, and instead of just saying all the lie, okay, you can join in 15 days. It's better. Okay, you can check if your companies offer you some buyout option, or sometimes there is a concept you can use your leaves as yeah, leaves also to reduce a notice period. So that is something you can use. If there's nothing option like that, better get an opportunity who can give you all the 90 days or 60 days time, and in that period you can continue your job search. And also, if you have cracked one offer, it gives you lots of confidence for next offer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very much true because nowadays HR knows which company
Knows,
you are
yes.
applying for and you are in and what is the notice period. So
Notice period.
telling a lie here doesn't make sense. So you tell them what is your leaves. That is a very good thing that you pointed out that these are your leaves, so you can reduce your period of your notice and as well you can have a buyout option. So
Yeah.
which is really good and the HR gets convinced. Yes, okay,
Yes.
then instead of like 90 days or 60 days you can reduce it to 45 days and most of the
Yes.
companies are good with 30 days to 45 days of
Yes.
your notice
They
period.
are okay. If they don't need it immediately, they are okay. They at least they can give you 45 days.
Yeah, that is true. So now if I come across the interview process, as you mentioned, the interview process has also shifted. A lot of real time questions have been asked. So exactly in that real time question, is it like a live coding questions you got with PySpark and SQL, or it is completely real time interview related to Azure or Databricks that you are getting?
Sure. So, for SQL and PySpark, they are going with questions like real-time questions. They can give some real-time scenario and ask you to share your screen, and you have to solve it. Sometimes it can be PySpark only, sometimes it can be SQL, and sometimes can be both. So that is something. And even some companies gone with the codility test where you have to just share your screen and solve the question in front of them and have to submit it. So here you can just explaining logic doesn't work. You need to solve and submit it and should pass all the test cases. So I have gone through that process as well. And some are okay if you are just going with a good approach, telling them how this question can be solved. If even if you are not able to write code, so they are okay with that. So it depends on company to company. However, just and concept wise, if I'll say he have optimized some, like these are the basic question is how you will optimize your PySpark jobs, or how you will optimize your SQL query. So just going through the concept only key, I we can whatever concept we know, like broadcast join, has joined, just saying those doesn't work anymore. You have to explain how you have used it in your project, how you have handled validations in your project. So that is something like they will come up. Okay, okay, I know this concept is there, how I know how broadcast join works, but how you have used it and how it helped in your project. So you should be confident and you should be aware of the mechanism how it's working. If you are targeting good company, good compensation. So this is
Yeah,
something.
that's actually true because
Yeah.
just by telling the theoretical knowledge, no one is
No.
going to get it.
Yeah.
What you have done in the project, you need to mention with the numbers. Maybe that would be great, right? I think
Yes.
that's what you did in
Yeah.
interviews. So that is one point. So, what is the hardest question that you have come across till now? Like that you think that this is was very tricky for me to answer, and though you were able to answer maybe, but it is a tricky question that was asked in the interview process.
Okay, so I was going through interview process. So there they gave me just Excel sheet and asked me multiple SQL queries, and I have to share my screen and to write it. And yeah, that was something like data set was really can say it was just a raw data and have to work over it. So yeah, that was something difficult that I got. However, I was able to convince him with the concepts that I know, but some of the things were tricky there.
Okay. So if you talk about the technical and behavioral, like how many rounds were conducted in the organization and which was the like the toughest round you would say, like coding or behavioral?
So basically, most of the companies conducted one technical round and one managerial round, and some companies have additional rounds also. Like some go with coding first coding round that could have asked DSC questions, then one technical questions, and then one HR round, managerial round, and then HR round. So mostly it was 3 to 4 round, and some companies gone with two technical and then one managerial round also. So it depends. talking about public sapient, so I had first the uh, written test, then followed by a technical round, then managerial round, and then HR round. So yeah, normally 3 rounds are there, and some companies are going with 4 also.
Okay. So, how much important will be DSA if you are preparing for any interview? Is it too much, like 100% necessary to prepare, or how is it?
So if we are in data engineering field, so DSA is not 100% necessary. Basic you should know. Python, if company is looking for Python proficiency, so obviously they will go with lots of DSA questions. However, I said I have mostly worked with PySpark, so for me it was mostly around PySpark and SQL. But some of the companies in the first round have asked basic DSA questions also. So Python is when we are working with data engineering, Python is something that goes hand in hand. So having a basic DSA in Python is really helpful. And yeah, for the next step, I would say I will also work on DSA because it's something companies are looking for now.
Okay. And what about system design? Any company asked you system design question?
System design, not in that depth, I would say, but yeah, in the data engineering point of view, they have asked for the designing pattern example. If you have multiple option to select stories, how it's going to be, how going to optimize. Basically, I would say optimization was there, and sometimes pipeline designing. Like if you have some hundreds of files, you go, how you're going to ingest in blog. So yeah, basic can say basic designing questions.
Okay, okay, sounds good. So if I talk about, we have covered interview process. Now, if you talk about CV preparation, you said you have optimized it as per the ATS. So what all things that you have kept in mind so that your CV gets shortlisted in one go?
Sure. So for that, I worked on, like, I checked lots of job descriptions, look out like the like terminologies that is needed, and also I focused on making it more quantifiable. Like every line, whatever I have written, it should say some impact that I have created. So that I kept that in my mind and created my CV. And also I have not added lots of points, have added appropriate points. And yeah, whatever I have written, I must be confident to justify it. And I would say in the managerial round, lots of questions were around my resume only, and how, if I have written something, I must be able to justify it. So just writing doesn't help. You must be able to justify it with good points.
That's a
So
very important point actually
yes,
you brought up, that whatever you have written, that should be, you should be aware of what you have written and you should be able
yes,
to explain it.
explain.
So every text tag, every pointer should be that you have done and not like you have copied it from somewhere. It should not be like that.
Yes,
So yeah. And keywords should be matching as per the job description
job
so that
description. Yes,
ATS can filter it out.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's good.
And ATS score is also important. There are so many websites you can check your ATS score and increase it. So that's really helpful. So I have done that also, and I used to regularly update my Naukri every day.
Okay.
So yeah.
So apart from Naukri, did you apply anywhere else?
I use LinkedIn for referrals and also career portals.
Okay.
However, most of the calls were from Naukri itself, but yeah, LinkedIn also helps. Like last offer that I had from Public Sapient, that was from LinkedIn.
Okay, okay, that sounds good. So there are two major platforms nowadays, like
Yes,
LinkedIn and
LinkedIn and
Naukri,
Naukri.
that you have to update it regularly and approach. So do you think networking will help in the LinkedIn to get a job right now in this market condition?
Referral is something, if you are getting referral, that really helps. If you can get a good referral from, and I would suggest if you can get a strong referral means if instead of just going to portal and someone, every company has their portal where employees can give you referral. However, if you can directly get connected with some hiring manager, share your resume with them, and if some employee can share your resume directly with your hiring manager, that really helps. So just getting a referral and getting a strong referral, there is a difference. So strong referral, if you're getting, then your chances increases.
That's good. So that's great that we have covered CV and the interview preparation. But there's very good, like very important question. Like you are working. and you are also preparing for interview. How did you manage that, like preparation of interview and then work? There's a lot of pressure in the work as well.
Yes.
So how did you do that?
Okay, so for basically when I did my first switch, I didn't stop learning. I kept whenever I get time, I used to learn one or another things to keep my knowledge upgraded. So that was something I was following. So there was nothing I have to start from scratch. That's the thing I had the motivation to switch that early. So yeah, I would say. However, I used to keep my evening time for my preparation and also for applying for jobs. And if any interview happened and I was not able to answer few questions, I used to go through it immediately and like go through the concept like what I lack and what is missing. So I used to revise them before going for another interview. So that is something I did. And talking about the work, so when I was on notice, the the main important thing was KT, that knowledge transfer that happened. So I took that seriously, and I kept 2 3 hours for the pending task to complete to share with my lead. Other than that, I was working on applying for jobs and going through concepts, because obviously I was working in the same field, PySpark and everything. So just even whatever I have written in my project, if I'm going through that only, that's also helping me.
That's great. Yeah. Actually, you should not stop learning. That is
Yeah.
the major motto that we can help audience know, that you have to keep learning, don't stop learning, and set up some time for yourself for upskilling every time, right?
Yes.
And that is
I kept, I kept going through concepts wherever I get time. It was not, I decided I need to switch, then I started going through concepts. For whole year, I was doing one or another things.
okay, that's good. So let's say you have cracked it now and you have that time right now to negotiate the compensation part with the HR. How did you exactly handle it? Any tip that will help?
That's really a tricky part. So when we get multiple offers, first that you should know is which are the organization that you want to work with. Also, project is something that really matters for your further growth. So you must look just not for compensation, but project also should be in the mind when you're looking for jobs. So I would suggest ki first shortlist a company that you really want to work for, and once you have shortlisted, then like for my case, I have two companies that were in my mind. So I just conveyed them ki, I got another opportunity, and that is something I'm getting a package compensation. If there is something they can do for myself, for me, that would be really helpful. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. So yeah, this is something format you can follow. You can send a mail, formal mail, and if they agree, that's great, and you can go ahead and join the organization. If not, then it's your call whether you want compensation or company, that matters. So yeah,
That's
however, formal mail always generally works.
okay. That's a very good advice, that you should drop a formal email stating that if you can match the compensation, if you are willing to join that organization. And it's
Yes.
not only about the compensation, the project that you're working on, and several other factors that come into play when you are joining an organization. So
Yes.
that is really important to keep everyone in mind, that compensation will keep on increasing, but there are other factors also keep in mind while joining an organization. That's very good point that is there. So I think I have covered most of the things, the tips and tricks also you covered it very well. So I am really happy that you actually joined this particular session and conveyed it. So what is the final tip that you would like to give to anyone who is preparing for the data engineering role? What five things they should keep in mind while preparing and cracking a particular interview?
So, like the first thing is giving 100% answer in any interview is not necessary. If you are okay with 70%, 80%, that's really helpful. And interviews are okay if you are able to answer 70 to 80%. Second thing, don't uh, don't get into any malpractices while giving your interviews, because it's really like interviewer are smart enough to find that out. Then another thing I would suggest is, if you are not able to solve the question properly in any interview, and if you know the concept, just be vocal. Let them know your thoughts on it, and your logical thinking on it. And sometimes interviewer are okay with that if you can't write whole code, but you can explain it in a good way. And yeah, I would suggest ki whatever you're writing in your resume, just be prepared to answer everything if they ask, and also try to be use as much technical term as you can while explaining your work that you have written in your resume. Yeah, these are some of the tips that I would like to give to the audience.
That's amazing actually. All the points you have covered it in a very crisp 5 points, so that's really good. And I'm really happy and congratulations again for joining, and keep motivated others as well who can switch to data engineering or preparing for data engineering. As well as I would say that thank you so much again for joining this podcast. I hope you have a great success and also share your knowledge across the data engineering field. Thank you so much, Shukra, for joining this.
Thank you, Shilpa. Thank you for organizing this session. And yeah, really thanks to you for creating such a good content on YouTube. I really like the content that you are working on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I wish you have a good day. Take care.
Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you have a good day.